this parsha introduced Avram Avinu, and it's interesting. The Torah starts with Hashem commands him to go to Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't talk about. Rashi talks about in last week's parsha how Nimrod wanted to kill him and he was saved. Not mentioned. And the Chassam Sofer and other people point out that's interesting. The first thing that we hear is that Hashem speaks to him to go to Eretz Yisrael, like all from nowhere. Hashem never speaks to him before. So the Chassam Sofer says a very interesting thing. He says, of course Hashem spoke to him before. Hashem speaks to all of us, but most of us don't know how to listen. It's the funny thing he makes. You know what you're not receptive. But interesting. He goes to Eretz Yisrael, and we know that's one of the Asar Nisyonos, that to leave his homeland, go to Eretz Yisrael. Right away when he gets this, at the beginning of Eretz Yisrael, so the Torah says, "He Rav Ba'aretz," there's a Rav Ba'aretz, and he goes to Mitzrayim. And the Ramban says something. It happens to be a Machlokes Rishonim, but the Ramban says an interesting thing. We'll discuss the Ramban. V'da ki Avram Avinu chota chet gedola b'shkaga. It's really two sins. Avram ben has sinned a great sin b'shkaga. In b'shkaga means not on purpose, right? Shivi ishto hatzedekas b'michshol avon yibnei pachta pen yirago. He brings his wife, and he tells his wife that he's sister. So because of that fear, he brings his wife to a tremendous stumbling block that could have been very serious. Right? He should have done that. It happened to be that Hashem made a nes, but Paro took her. He should have relied on the fact that Hashem will save him and his wife. It's called Hashalom, everything that he has. Because obviously Hashem has the power to save you. But Gam, another Avera that he did, is Yitziyosam in Aretz, and Yistavo Leb Bechila. He's commanded to go to Israel, and because of the Rav, he goes to Eretz Yisrael. So he says, Ki Elokim b'Rav Yifdenu b'Movis. Hashem could save him from death in a famine. The Amai says, "Then Nigzer Zaron Golus Eretz Yisrael," and because what Avram did, that's why the Golus was declared to go to Yisrael. Ma'is obviously in the Lebanon, and the Ramban goes through the whole thing that what happened to Avram Avinu happened to Klal Yisrael and Mitzrayim. So it seems it's a punishment because he went to Mitzrayim. That happens to be Machlokes Rishonim. The Radak, other Rishonim say it wasn't Avera. The Ramban clearly says it was an Avera. So what's interesting to think about is and this is one of the Asar Nisyonos where he didn't do such a good job. He didn't pass this one so well. When he gets out of it, but it was an chet gadol. He says b'shkaga. He says a chet gadol. That must be the Zohar that it's based on. Based on the Zohar. I only know that because Rabbi Shavel brings that in the footnote. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. But Rabbi Shavel brings the footnote as the Zohar. So you have to ask yourself a question. What do you learn from this? Why did Avraham Avinu not? Why? He says two things. He should have been boteich and Hashem, that Hashem would not cause a problem with Sarah and the people in Mitzrayim, and Paro comes to be Paro, and Hashem would save him from the famine. So what do you see? First of all, couldn't Avraham Avinu realize that? He should have realized that. Why didn't he realize it? Why didn't he think to himself there is Hashem and why didn't he realize it? He's Avraham Avinu. He's not Stam a person. Why didn't he should have realized it? So you see, it's a very interesting thing. Avraham Avinu, a godly that he is. And he's our father. And he started. It's only because of him there's a Jewish nation. And Avram who follows Hashem to Mitzrayim, to Eretz Yisrael, he leaves wherever he was. He's ready to go to Eretz Yisrael, leave everything. He doesn't know what's going to be in Eretz Yisrael. He makes two mistakes over here. The Torah is telling us. I think the Torah is telling us that, in the according to Ramban, that as big as you are, and as much bitachon as you think you have, because he had bitachon, he left everything to go to Eretz Yisrael. You can make a mistake like this. Even Avram can make a mistake. I think it's for us to realize that people make mistakes like this, and it may be a chet gedola, but it's not. Even Avram could do it. It means if it happens to us, we shouldn't be like overwhelmed that we didn't have enough bitachon. We shouldn't be overwhelmed that we didn't. It could happen to Avraham. It certainly could happen to anybody else. And the Torah is telling us this because to tell us that even Avram Avinu, even the great Avraham, could make a mistake like this, and mistakes do happen. And he's still Avram Avinu. So to realize that in our lives we get something to get frustrated. How do I do this? Well, you shouldn't have done it. You're right. But Lamaisa doesn't mean you can't be great. It doesn't mean you're nobody. You could still be Avram Avinu. It could still be the fact that you made a mistake or two mistakes, struggle or be amazed sometimes. It doesn't mean you can't be great. And the Torah is telling you this. Avram, according to Rabbi, Avram Avinu made two mistakes, and he wasn't Boteich on Hashem enough, and because of that, he goes in the Mitzrayim. But he's still Avram Avinu. He's the same Avram Avinu. He didn't lose his position as being Avram Avinu, being the father of the Jewish nation. He still gets the promise of Eretz Yisrael. Something for us to realize. In other words, sometimes we're very down on ourselves. But the Yetzer Hara has two ways of dealing with us, right? Sometimes he says, it's not such a big deal. What everybody does, it's not a big deal. Do this, everybody does it. Come on, not religious. And then when you do it, he says, what did you do? What a mess. Who crazy. Nobody. You're zero. You may as well stop doing everything. And the Yisrael does that to us, right? When he gets us to do it, and after we do it, he tells us how bad we are. So even though it's a mistake to do it, realize, okay, it was a mistake, but it doesn't mean I can't go where I want to go. It doesn't mean I can pick myself up and do what I'm supposed to do. And that's what Avinu did. And I assume that Avram Avinu realized they made a mistake. But he was able to come back, and he didn't get depressed and say, "Well, if I'm such a bad guy, I'm not going to be anybody." So it's something to think about in our own lives. Not to ever say that the Avera was okay, but to realize just because I stumbled this time doesn't mean I can't step up back to the plate. I struck out, but I can on the next round I can make it back. That's something we have to think about. No, the Yetzer Hara shouldn't come to us and say, you're such a nobody anyway, such a loser anyway, why should you continue? Just say, no, there's no reason. And realize it's a very strong Yetzer Hara, that Yetzer Hara. You're not going to accomplish anyway, who are you going to be anyway, you're not going to learn anyway. So that Yetzer Hara is a very strong Yetzer Hara, and we can never give into it. Very interesting medrash Rashi brings. It says, V'yivchar Lot, they have a little confrontation. The shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Avraham have a little confrontation about whatever the confrontation was, right? And so Avraham says, "Listen, Lot, we can't hang around together. Well, you go right, I'll go left. You go south, I'll go north." V'yivchar Lot, it's called a Yarden. V'yisa Lot mikedem. V'yivchadu ish me'al achiv. The Rashi brings a medrash. You see, what did he do? It says V'yisa. It says the V'yisa Lot. V'yisa, he traveled. And so the Medrash says, he brought himself away from the Kadmuna, from the first one of the world. I don't want Avram, I don't want his God. That's what the Medrash says about Lot. It's very strange. Why does the Medrash say that? I imagine if you would ask Lot, do you want to stay with Avram or not? He said, of course I want to stay with Avram. But he kicked me out. What should I do? Right? And the truth is, the Gemara goes on and says different things about what right? It says, should I read that? It's in Gemara. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. The Savi Yavakish Nifrad, for his own taivas he did it, right? And it says that because of what Lot did, he did for his own taivas. That's why Ammon and Moab become also to us. And the Maral Miprag even says that the reason that Ammon and Moab are his grandchildren, that's next week's parasha. So Ammon and Moab, not because of anything else, the Maral's Lashon is Mishum Shenidva Bo Teva Ra. They have a Teva Ra, their nature is evil, right? Because Avram said, because their father said, because Lot said, Yefshi lo ba'Avram v'lo b'Elokov. So the nature of Ammon and Moab is that nature. So if you would have asked Lot, he would have said, "I would have stayed here. I never thought that about Avram. I never thought that about his God. I would have stayed here. I would have been happy here. But Avram kicked me out." So you see a very important thing here. You see, it's called Chas HaNefesh. Why did Chazal say this about Avram? Because down deep, someplace in his mind was the psychology. Down deep in his psychology. In other words, why didn't he object to Avram? Why didn't he object? Avram, how can I leave you? I love what you're teaching me. I love what you learn about Hashem. I love you so much. I'll do whatever you say. Why did he accept it? The fact that he accepted it shows us that down deep, someplace in his subconscious mind, Lo Ratzav Avram Lo B'Lo Kaf. I don't want Avram. I don't want his God. Because if you really wanted Avram or his God, you shouldn't have done what you did. And I always say, and as you see very clearly here, your actions speak much louder than your words. In other words, whatever you believe, what you do is who you are. What you believe, what you say you believe, is not who you are unless you do what you believe. But if you don't do what you believe, then you are what you do. And when Lot picked up and left, and the truth is, he went to Sodom. He didn't go to Sodom. He went to a very bad place. So, but if you pick up and if you pick up and leave, that's who you are. Now, in other words, most of us, we don't always know what's motivating us. In human psychology, there's all kinds of things that motivate a person. But we have to realize that if my actions say who I really am, and it's about a lot of things, My Mershi used to always describe, how does a guy go to lunch? Where does he go? The Seder's over, it's time to eat lunch. But are you running out of the base medrash? Or are you not running out of the base medrash? And the other goes away. When it's time to start, are you coming running to the base medrash? Or are you not running to the base medrash? Your actions are speaking louder than your words. Baruch Hashem, you're coming. You're right, you came to the base medrash, that's great. But how did you come? In other words, who are you really? Lot was really down deep, not that great guy. Down deep, he's going to create a Moab and an Ammon that can't marry Klal Yisrael because they're beteva. That's their teva. Their teva is to be ra. In other words, your teva, you really. If you would have asked Lot, he would have for sure said, "I want to be with him. They throw me out." The fact that you accepted it so quickly, accepted you were agreed so easily, means that you're really beteva. That's who you are, beteva. And I have to ask us the questions. What do I do? Who am I really? What I believe, I say, or what I do. And what you do is because Chazal are telling you here, Chazal are telling you that it's not what you say, it's what you do. And sometimes we have to think about it. What am I doing to show that's what I really believe? All right, do I take it seriously? Do I take do I take the learning seriously? Do I take the tefillah seriously? Do I take the mitzvah seriously? Oh, I do it because you're supposed to do it, but it's not really meaningful. Either I'm a wind-up doll or I'm a robot, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Part of it has to be I'm doing it because I really believe it. I really feel it. Well, the whole confrontation of the kings is a very interesting thing. The 5 kings and 4 kings. The 4 kings win the war, and they get Lot, and Avram makes a war with them. It's a machlokes where there was just Eliezer. He had 380, a very small army. No matter what, it was 380 men. Or it was just Eliezer, very small army. Avram was able to win this war. It's greatness. And the truth is that the Bali Musa say, what does Hashem say after the war? He says, "Al tira Avrams." And before Hashem say, what is he afraid of? Afraid of used up all my schar for this war. So Al tira Avram, he used up your schar. But it's interesting, the war is over, and there's a conference, and it goes to the Melech Stone. And the Melech Stone says, listen, you won the war, how about you get everything. So Avram says, Amar Avram la Melech Stone, Rimosi Yodi El Kai, El Hashem, I pick my hand up to the Shavua, right? El Hashem Kel El Yon, Kodesh Shemayim Varetz, In Bechut V'at Shroch Nal, I take from a thread until the shoelace, the Shroch Nal, right? Mikach Mikova Vasher Lo. I don't want you, Lo, to say that you made Avram rich. I wouldn't take anything. So the Mepharshim ask Moshe, why does he have to make a shavua? What does he make a shavua for? And it seems it's because of the shavua that he reached great madrigas. The shavua helped him. The fact that he didn't take anything is wonderful. But the fact that he made a shavua, that's an extra step. Because I'll tell us, because we said, Michut, we had the mitzvah tzitzis, and because Tzroch Nal, I got a mitzvah film. So the side, I'll just tell you something that I heard many years ago on Shabbos Lech Lecha from Rav Hershel Shechter in YU. And he just says, you see that from that Chazal, that Tzroch Nal is connected to Tefillin. So that's why we have to tie your left shoe first, because it's connected to Tefillin. HQT. But, so in other words, he did something so great. So what did it help him with that? So it tells us something, when a person strengthens what he says, he makes a shavua. Because I don't want to just say something. I want to strengthen it. He probably wouldn't have taken anyway, but in his own mind, once I make a shua, I can't take anything. In his own mind, he strengthened it. That's where the extra madrega comes from. In other words, sometimes we decide to do things in our lives, that's a good thing, but we don't makabel it upon ourselves really. It's less of a kabbalah. But the more to make a kabbalah, a real kabbalah, and you really mean it, that's a tremendous chus. That's what gave Avram the schus. The schus of Shochnal, was a schus because Avram when he made that shavua. The first thing he says, I pick up my hand to Hashem because I want to guarantee myself, I guarantee everybody else that I'm not going to take anything else. I'm not going to take anything from you. I'm going to take a load bath. I'm going to pay the people who came with me, but I'm not taking anything else from you. I don't want you to do anything. But the fact that he went that extra step and took the shavua, that created tremendous chus. And in our own lives, we have to see that it's not enough just say, I'm going to do it. So make up our mind, I really want to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to myself. I'm going to do my best to do X, Y, Z, and say it to yourself. I wouldn't say shavua, don't say shavua, but tell yourself a few times that I'm going to makabel myself to do this thing. And I'll do it, maybe I'll do it. The Kabbalah, that you're going to do it, it changes everything. And first of all, it helps you do it, that's for sure. And I imagine everyone would have done it anyway, but the fact that you do it like that, like stamps it, and it makes it much more powerful. So the truth is, you go through the parsha and see many other things. I mean, the reason that we have to learn these things from Avram Avinu is to apply it to ourselves. The whole idea of the first Rashi in Chumash. You ever learn the first Rashi in Chumash? So the first Rashi Chumash, we didn't need the whole Bereshis. So Ramban says, of course you need the Bereshis. He goes on to explain what the kasha was. He says you need Bereshis because the Avos teach us how the midos of the Avos. We learn how to be the right kind of person from the Avos. We can learn what Avram Avinu did, what he was, who he is, and apply it to ourselves at whatever level we can apply it to ourselves. And I mentioned the first thing is very important. The first thing is that the Radak happens to say it was not an Avera, like the Ramban says. The Ramban is based on Azar. But the Ramban said it was a Chet Gedolah. So the fact that the Ramban said, I think, what is the Ramban telling us? That you're right, Avram Avinu made a Chet Gadol. But you know what? He's still Avram Avinu. In other words, the fact that you made a mistake, and the fact that you did an Avera, you did a Chet, I don't want to say called a Chet, doesn't detract from who you are. At that moment, there might have been a heavenly sign against him for that moment, but he's still Avram Avinu. The fact we stumble, and all of us make mistakes. All of us do things we shouldn't be doing. And part of it is if we realize, once we realize it, okay, that's the right thing. But we should never let the sudden take over, the Yetzer Hara take over and say how we're a total failure. Because we're not a total failure. We're only a failure in that area that we failed in. We're not beyond that. And that's why Avram Avinu could be Avram Avinu, even though he did a chet. As opposed to Lot, as soon as he had opportunity to leave, he took it. In other words, he should have been motivated enough to say, I can't do this. But somewhere it is, and guaranteed, if you would have asked Lot, you want to leave Avram? He said, no. What am I going to do? He threw me out. But the fact that he didn't react, the fact that he just accepted it right away, that shows you what he really is. What you do is who you really are, right? And I always say, you're not what you imagine you are. You're not what you think you are. You are what you do. And if we do the right thing, then we're that kind of good person. And if we don't do the right thing, then we're not really right. And part of what we have to do is to make sure that our subconscious feelings are the correct ones, and we have to work on that, and realize it, and tell ourselves. And finally, I told you that once in a while you make a Kabbalah, a serious Kabbalah, that'll help us. Apply it to our everyday life. I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say it's only the beginning of the year, but the truth is it's the beginning of the year, and if we do it right now, it'll have a great year. And time flies. It's obviously the time flies. And before you know it, it'll be Chanukah, and before you know it'll be Purim, then it'll be Pesach. Time flies. So we have to, anything we want to do, we have to start. Once we and I always say that tomorrow never comes. Whenever I push up tomorrow never comes. Right? And I say tomorrow was today, yesterday. Right? Okay, you'll figure what that means. But tomorrow was today, yesterday. And tomorrow never comes. Right? If I do it tomorrow, I have to start now. And if I wanted to say, okay, you said something, I want to make a Kabbalah, I'm going to learn a little better. So, okay, what are you going to do about it? And learn a little better, and the different eitzes. I always say, I'll give you an eitzah, a great eitzah that I heard many years ago that works, that we all want to learn. You're all here to learn, you all want to learn. But it's not so easy. I always say, come on time to the base medrash, and make up with your chavrusa for the first 15 minutes you're going to learn. You want to talk after 15 minutes, but first thing you're going to learn. And if you do that, you'll see that you'll learn for much more than 15 minutes. If you talk for the beginning, then who knows when you're going to stop talking. But if you learn 15 minutes, it's more of a chance you're going to continue learning. So that's something. Think of Kabbalahs I can make. What can I do? Right? Those who come on time for davening, it's great. What about you don't come on time? Figure it out. Maybe I'll come 5 minutes early, 3 minutes earlier. Little things, little steps. In Ruchnius, we can't take giant steps. In Ruchnius, the giant steps fail, but little steps work. Little steps, baby steps work. So when I know I have a problem, what can I do a little bit to change it? Right? I was mentioning some of the guys, and I hope it's not a problem for most of the people, but it's definitely a problem that the distraction of the telephone on different levels. Right? There's a distraction on one level. There's a distraction, and there's another distraction that it's mali tuma. And that's a worse distraction, obviously. So what happens? It's my problem. So it could be like Rafale, right? Why don't throw your phone out the window? But most people won't do that. I always had to catch why I didn't sell it. Okay, but okay, you do that. But most of you won't do that. But you know what? Say to yourself, I spent X amount of time yesterday on the phone. For the last 2 weeks, I spent 14 hours a day on the phone. Right? What can I do today? Maybe tell you to spend 13 hours. It's just, what can I do to break it down a little bit, and keep doing it, and every day a little more and a little more, and that's the only way it's going to happen. The same thing with everything we're going to do. I'm not learning enough, so learn. We this man, I remember a few years ago in Harnof, a psychologist, and he gave a great eitzah, and I've been doing it sometimes. I can't do it all the time, but he mentioned, you really need a drink. I really need a drink. You go down to the basement, you get a drink. He says, tell yourself, I need a drink, but I'm going to go in 5 minutes. Control yourself in that 5 minutes. I'll take the drink in 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes changes everything. Once I'm able to, it shows yourself, and it shows you Yetzirah, that I'm in control, not him. Okay, I'm going to take the drink. Maybe you don't really, really, really need the drink. You probably don't, you're not going to die without it. But it's fine to have it. But wait 5 minutes. Wait 5 minutes. And the same thing with tefillah, Okay, you never come on time. Okay, but maybe I'll come 5 minutes earlier. 5 minutes. 3 minutes earlier. So that's different things to think about. It's interesting. In Yeshiva, we start davening 7:30, but it's not really true that we start davening 7:30, because we started from Mizmor Shir, so everybody has to say brachas and put on your tefillin, and it takes time. So if you say I'm going to come 7:30, you're really coming 5 minutes late, at least 5 minutes late. So can I make those 5 minutes up? Can I come on time? Can I start with the chazan? Different things. What can I do to be that little bit better? A little bit, right? Not big changes. And to realize the day it wasn't better, the day I didn't do it. Okay, I didn't do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not the worst person in the world if I didn't do it. I'm not a total failure. I failed what I wanted to do, but it's not a total failure. We have to keep motivating ourselves different ways. Look around and see, and I just want to leave you with one other thought, which helps me a lot. Person has to realize what you've accomplished. So I'm going to become a Baal Gaiva. You won't become a Baal Gaiva so fast. And what I mean by that is, think of yourself, where was I a year ago? Where was I 2 years ago? How did I end up like I am now? And you can go back 5 years. Sometimes I go back long. I'm older than you. I go back 40 years. And, I could have made different decisions, different times. And Baruch Hashem, I made the right decision. That should help you to tell yourself, you know what? If I could do that, then I could do the next. I could go to the next step. I can do another thing, because you made the right decisions this time in your life. How did I make the right decision? So I was able to. Hashem should help us make the right decisions. Hashem should help us be motivated ourselves to accomplish what we can accomplish, to realize that I'll never have it easier than I have it now. I'll never have it easier than I have it now. You realize that? They roll out of bed to davening. We're paying here, all they want to do is learn with you. That's all they want to do. Everything's on a golden platter, I'll scare you, but in 5 years you'll all be fathers. You'll have to have money, because you'll be fathers, you'll have kids, you'll have a wife. There'll be much more responsibility in your life. And so take advantage of the fact that you're in a spiritual Gan Eden here. Okay? The bed isn't so great, the food isn't so great, so why is it Gan Eden? It's Gan Eden because you have so little to do in your life except commit yourself to Rebbeinu Shalom. That's the Gan Eden part I'm talking about. You're right, the food is not the greatest, the bed is not the greatest, but Lamaisa, I have so much available, my Ruchnias it's so much easier here than it ever could be. Take advantage. Here's Hashem, if you take advantage, you'll make great strides, and Hashem will help us get there.